Okay guys, so I'm shooting this a little bit out of order, but I'm going to show you some different things on the boat that, and this is the big iKon. Some things I really like, a couple things I don't like, a couple things I'm kind of neutral on. So the first thing I'll note is I really like the steps. And I talked about this in the Caracal video a little bit. You get to come up, so, you know, I have two 18s stacked here on my boat, and basically they're here. So to get into my boat, I have to literally step to that spot, which I have now put grip tape on, and then step over in the boat. This, I called it in an earlier video, workspace. That's in the video where I fished out of it the other day. I really, really like that. There's a lot of room to stack two, and you could pretty easily get 3 units up here. So I really like that. I like the handle. What I don't like about it is it seems pretty wiggly. And so my only other point of comparison right now is in a Bass Cat, and it's much more stable, but I could live with it, right? But I would love to see that other than just 2 bolts holding it down. The one thing I have noted that I really disliked about the trailer is that jack. Now, here's my problem with the jack. Okay, so there's where it is. What's this? 1, 2, 3. 40, 41, 42. It's finally off the ground. Took 42 turns, and it's not quite high enough. 43, 44, 45, 46. Okay, I have never counted on my Fulton before, but 46 turns on a jack, and by the way, it's the same to get it off, to lift it up, is too dang many. You spent the money for the Fulton winch, get a better jack. Sorry, whatever company that is. And if you own an iKon and it doesn't take 45 turns for you to get yours on and off, please comment below. But then if that's the case, that means something's wrong with this jack. The boat's 60 hours. Shouldn't be something wrong with the jack that quick. Now look, I understand the guy could have drug it down the road with the jack down and messed it up, but my heart is beating from doing that so many times. So that's the first thing that I dislike about the boat. Lots of things I like, and a lot of things I'm neutral about. So that's the front of the boat. I really like the front of the boat. It's incredibly easy. Now, I did talk about, I don't like the look of the trailer. It's squared off. It's got good access points, right, to get up in the boat. But as I was pulling this boat away, I don't know if I ever posted this video or not, as I was pulling this boat away from Ross in Lufkin, I laughed and I said the trailer reminded me of an old Volvo. It really does. It's just that kind of squared off look. It's not a pretty trailer. It is a highly functional trailer. Now, I'm not a metal expert, but one of my friends did say to me that one of the downsides of a tube trailer, so a tube trailer meaning there's, I'm gonna call them angle iron, which is the wrong word, but trailers who have kind of the 3 corners on their trailer versus a tube trailer, which is sealed, is if water gets into a tube trailer, there's really no mechanism to evaporate that water. And there is and again, I'm not saying this is a positive or negative, it's just what's been said to me. And so I don't add or deduct points for either of these, but just something to consider if you've had that experience of having some trailers that have gotten moisture in them. I think there is some potential in a true tube design trailer to have water stay inside the trailer. The boat trailers really well, I will say that. I was surprised. I thought it would really jerk my little expedition around, but I had no problem with that. I still got the same whopping 12 miles per gallon I get pulling anything else. All right, so there's the front of the boat. I like a lot of things about it. We'll measure the front deck in just a second. Let's go to the driver's console. Guys, this is going to be just a tiny bit redundant. I'm going to cover some ground I've covered earlier, but I got it outside the barn where there's a little bit better visibility, and I made some additional comments about the workspace. So, by the way, I didn't really give you a great look at the outside of the boat. This was shot when we left Lufkin. But let me go to some additional footage. Again, I apologize for the redundancy, but I think it'll make sense once you watch it. But mounting the boat, luckily at 63 I still have my mobility, but it doesn't get much easier than that, right? Now if you haven't seen it, I did a video where I fished out of this boat, which was not part of the review, and I talked about workspace, and that's what I'm talking about here. They've given you that very big area up there, and they've carried the width back so far. I like this. You could double stack units there and even put a third unit there, but you've still got space to step in the boat and step over your stuff. That's well done. I talked a little bit about this. Fishing has evolved from where you wanted to be standing right on the nose of your boat making pitches under bushes and under trees to today where any boat in this class is going to have at least a 12-inch unit up there, and most of them are going to have 2 or 3 big units up front, or a 22-inch NBT and a 12-incher or something like that. You need workspace up there, and I think we will see all boat manufacturers evolve to more of that style of a front deck. And it's funny, iKon really wasn't built with scoping in mind, but it was certainly a latter generation design versus looking at a Bascat Pantera 2 or you know, a Ranger 521 that they've been building some version of for the last 20 something years. So I like what they've done up the front, whether it was purposeful or just lucky. It's a good design. Now, one other thing I noted I don't like, so I really don't like stacked buttons, because I like my up and down, sorry guys, my up and down trim buttons, because I like to do it with my foot. I'd rather have them side by side. I don't know that you need your radio control up front. I personally don't like having these buttons up front, lights or my live well, either one, because I don't want to accidentally turn them off. I think that's a bad idea. I think that's way overkill. I do like that you got power up front. If you want to put your phone right here, you got something going on, you need to have your phone close by, or a music box, or you're charging batteries for your GoPro or whatever. I like that, but I'd love to see them lose those 2 buttons. I don't think there's any reason at all to have your live well or your light button on the front deck. Light button maybe more so than live well, but that's just me. Okay, in a new boat, you're not getting away from a dash pad, right? So I've gone through this one now. It's pretty self-explanatory. I like this a lot, that it tells me how many gallons of fuel I have left. I like that it shows me my voltage. There's my trim, there's my jack plate, my miles per hour. I don't think it goes any higher, but you know, whatever, just kidding. Sorry, iKon guys. Everything else is right there, right? You can turn all your electronics on the bow or all of them on the helm off. Live well, all that fun stuff. It's got a pump out system. Probably got a lot of stuff I would never use on here. Your accessory lights. Now, it does have, as an option, which this boat has, a live well cooling system, but in talking with the iKon guys, the idea wasn't trying to make 90-degree lake water 65-degree Great Lake water. It cools the water about 1 degree per hour, and what they said, or maybe it's somebody's way, what they said from their research was live wells actually heat during the day, so they added extra insulation around their live well, and they put this system in there, so basically it keeps the water at a constant or cools it just very slightly. So it's not a refrigerant system, it's a slight cooling system inside the live well. I don't believe, and I wouldn't count for or against, that this has a culling system. I think some of the newer boats do have a culling system in there. Oh, one other thing I do know that I like about it. The other thing that I did find out about this boat that I do like, so you can preset your live well. So for example, on my boat, as soon as I get the live well full, I automatically just turn recirculate on 24, and then I put it on the fastest. So recirculate and then water in and out, and according to what time of year it is, I change those a little bit. But this one, you could set it to say, when I hit live well go, it fills it, it turns off when it's full, and the aerators automatically come on, or whatever, however you want them to be. You can preset that. That's a pretty cool technology. What else? We got a tilt wheel. I've already talked about the seats go forward and back, and they go way forward. So where we talked about for really tall guys, some boats are harder to get in and out of, or to fish out of. If you're a more vertically challenged fisherman, this thing will really go forward. Actually, might as well put a tape measure on it since we got it. So if you want to go way forward, that's now 7 inches and 2 feet. You can slide that seat way forward. By the way, passenger seat goes forward and back as well. Not sure why, but okay, cool. It's got good oh crap handle here. Does not have one on the outside of the driver's seat. It does have one on the outside of the passenger seat, and those have a big gap, so if you got winter gloves on, you can hold on. Slots for the conger rods, I like that a lot. Look at this, a place for your conger to charge his phone. When I saw that, I thought, holy cow, my wife would really like that. The danger tray, not for or against that, but those of you who knew Albert Collins, there were lures in there on a 12-year-old boat or 10-year-old boat that had been in there since the day he bought it. That's dangerous to me. I don't need that there, but it is a great place to throw your baits and let them dry out. Really good tool storage. Another thing that I actually think this was thought out, but going back deck to front deck, really big steps at the same height. So if you're on the front deck and you got to go to the back deck, it's a really comfortable step to do that and walk into your boat barn. One thing I did see, let's see if I can figure out how to turn them on. So there's your courtesy lights in the boat. Now there may be a package where you can upgrade those courtesy lights. There's really good lights in the box. I played with it the other night, and actually there's your, I believe that's your box lid light. Is there a front light on this boat? Let's go check it out. So a little bit of internet research later, I think you can get a docking light. I think it's aftermarket, but maybe I'm wrong. You can certainly check that out. But I think that light switch is for these lights, these work lights. So versus putting lights like some other boats do on the gunnel, if you will, they've put them above head. I like the idea a lot. The only downside I see to it is if it's raining and you're, you know, in the morning getting ready to go fish, and you're whenever, and you need lights and you got rain coming down, you don't have the best lighting situation. So I see I like it being overhead, but I also see a potential issue there when you got a rainy morning. I like the Bass Cat style where there's 6 or 8 lights around the boat with just a push button, so I don't have to come back to the dash to turn lights on if it's low light and I need to tie something on. So there probably is an upgraded lighting option in this. That's just something to note to yourself. I'll put in the notes below whether I find out that's available or not. I think they've done, so C-Deck available. I think you can buy this throughout the boat, and it's not C-Deck, that's a brand name, but reflex flooring or whatever you want to call it. You got little drains in the corners at the front. Sorry, just on that corner. And then a drain there and a drain there with a nice catch lip. So your floor should stay dry in the boat. Storage. Silly amounts of storage. So that's a live well. It's got a plug in it. Excuse me, not a live well. That's a That's an ice chest. This is also an ice chest, both insulated. That one's huge. You can see I've been using it for my trash, but two really big, and this one's also got a little spot back there, which is nice, by the way. So one of the things I have a habit of doing is throwing my phone or my keys. Sorry guys. One of the things I have a habit of doing is throwing my phone or my keys in that middle box and they disappear. That little satchel in the back is really handy so that you can find your keys or your phone when you need to get to them quick. And then pretty good sized back compartments. Let's take a look at something. So the back compartments, it's not wide enough to put a box in that way. You have to put them in that way. Not uncommon. And I'm going to say, well, I'll just give you the measurement on it. So that box is 13 inches by almost 18 inches and about 16.5 inches deep. So pretty good size. Not a huge box by any standard, but pretty good size. And then it also has this. Now, I'm torn on this. I can make the argument for and against that. It gives you good access. I don't know what you need access in there for, but it does. It feels cheapy to me, but it's also a great way if you're at a hotel room and you want to grab your stuff and take it out. You can lift the box up. By the way, if that box is full, it's going to be hard to get a hold of, but I can see the for and against that. But what you certainly lose from it is some size. You can see that box is much bigger, and I guess as far as that goes, if you really want to carry more stuff, there's no reason you can't just pull that insert out. I guess you could. I don't see any reason why you couldn't do that. Okay guys, as I was about to put the boat up, I realized there's another thing I like the design of on the front deck, and that's the rod holders and the position of the holders. So you've got a lot of obviously it's a huge front deck, but you got plenty of space under your trolling motor if you're a big rod count carrying guy, which there are less and less these days. But also having this little lip here allows you to pull your rods over out of the way and not dump rods out of the boat when you open that box. I forgot to mention that, but that's one more thing I like about, you know, let's put it this way, that's one more nice thing about having a boat with, you know, half an acre on the front deck. So I didn't talk about the seats, but they are big seats and they are comfortable seats. I like the seats in it. You know, the more time I've spent in this boat, the more I appreciate some things, but also some things that I question from a weight sensitivity standpoint. I mean, the seats are really nice. They're like an encapsulated seat with a fiberglass back on them, but that's weight. Now, there's a reason I've developed so many engineers follow my channel, because I do geek out on this stuff. So this is the guts of the chair. And there's actually, my engineer guys are going to really enjoy. There's several videos on iKon's website where they get into the engineering of the boat. And they've got a complete spring system. You can see it in the base of this seat right here. That there's a reason they've encapsulated. It's still a lot of weight in the boat. And by the way, don't get hung up on the weights that are posted of all the different boats, because, you know, I do that grid. No manufacturers weigh their hulls the same way. So I think you can throw that out with a grain of salt for the value of that. But there's some good videos, and they're going to talk about the live well, which I'll touch on next as well, and some of those videos and the insulation and their cooling system. So if you want to check that out, then check out iKon's YouTube channel. They've got a channel with some good stuff on it. Weight. Now, one thing I did notice, this is not your ordinary live well lid. It's insulated. I mean, it's incredibly insulated. That live well lid weighs 3 or 4 times what any other live well lid's gonna weigh, and then if it's got the same insulation around it, which I'm told it does, it's a lot of weight difference. So there's a reason this is a slower boat. This is a big boat, but this is a heavily engineered boat, heavily constructed boat, which I'm really interested in taking it out in rough water, see how it feels. I get a feeling it's going to feel great, but just a couple things I've noticed, as you guys know. And one of the great things about getting to spend more than just a day in the boat is just kind of like, oh, that, and oh, that, and why that, and oh, that's a cool idea. So Anyway, just thought I'd share that with you. So to the back, we talked about this in a prior video. You know, when you're thinking about buying a boat, this is a good setup, that opening that way, because if you're in your boat stall, you can get to it. If you're coming in from the back, you can get to it. If you got to work on something from the boat, you can get to it. It's all finished really nicely. It's really clean. I mentioned it earlier, there's your breakers. This boat's set up really nice in the back. There's no expense spared in the back of this boat, which for a boat in this space there shouldn't be, but you'd be surprised. There you go, your Raptor pumps are right there. Man, this boat's got no hours on it, holy cow. So, and this boat's running big lithiums. Looks like 236 volt lithiums for the trolling, and then I believe it's a lithium and a two lithiums on the cranking side too. 31 and a 31. Okay. We've gone through the sump. This is clean looking, really set up nicely. Front deck is good. Boxes up front. Let's go look at the boxes up front. Okay, so I just confirmed something that I was told with this boat. If you add the cooling system, that you lose half the space in this box. So this is the port side box behind the passenger seat. So apparently that plate sits in here and you lose a whole bunch of this space. So that's also a note to self. If you're going to buy this boat and you're going to get that cooling system, I would look at that and see if you're willing to give up that. And by the way, the cooling system is not an inexpensive option. I would look at that and make sure you're comfortable losing that much space to a cooling system for your live wells. This box here. So this box will hold, so these little slides will come out if you want to put the big boxes in here, but it'll hold 2, 4, 6, 8. So I'm going to count, it'll hold something on the neighborhood of 33 boxes, right? And I'm going to show you a demonstration later before I'll put it in right here. So they are begging you to overload this boat. I mean, they're begging you. Look at this.
Hello, everyone.
All right, come on. Let's show them what all we got stuck in there, Halls.
Okay. Get out, buddy. I didn't bring my baby giraffe.
Okay, so in this box we have, oh my gosh.
Ooh, what's over here? Is this a dinosaur?
That's loaded, okay? Now I'm gonna show you one thing about this tackle management system that I didn't know until I put all this junk in here. But so we've got 3, 6, 9, 10, 11 boxes across there. I didn't even have enough boxes in the Dallas place to fill that up. But look what's in the front box. So we've got a life jacket. Now this is what I mentioned before about how hard it is to get to stuff in here. But we got, you know, in case you needed a couple of pairs of golf shoes. I'll just unload it and let y'all watch this. Okay guys, my co-stars have left. I'm gonna time lapse this because it's gonna take me a few minutes. And this was not completely full, but watch what's coming out of here. So already 2 life jackets, right? That's what fit in that front box. And a 6-year-old. Golf shoes, like 6 or 7 rolls of toilet paper, 6 cents bags, all those bags, a soccer ball, a half inflated basketball. Whew, man, that's exhausting. They are begging you to overload this boat. And I say that in jest, but most of us, I said this in an earlier video, you give us a bigger closet, we'll put more junk in it, more stuff in it. If you want the max performance out of this boat, I mean, that's gotta weigh, I can't even imagine. I got one, that 1/2 ounce Yozuri and red eye shad box up there, and there's 2 boxes full of nothing but 6 inch rattle baits. Those boxes both weigh 5 or 6 pounds a piece. So that's a lot of weight in the front half of this boat if you load that boat that way. I'm going to give you one caveat I noticed about this, about that storage system. Let me show you what that is. It is this. It appears as though this size box will fit up there, and they will, but you can't get them in. Which is why when you saw when I loaded the boat, I had these smaller boxes up there. Now that's a box that actually would stay on the top, but those size boxes, I think those are 3600s, don't go up there. You just can't get them in there. So I'm sure you could pull the dividers out and slot them in there. I didn't try to do that, but that's the one caveat of when I want to load it with all this stuff for the purpose of the video, because I would never, ever carry this much stuff. I take that back. If I had been going to the Toyota Series Championship at Grand Lake this week, I would load the boat like that, but I wouldn't fish with the boat like that. But I would use the boat as a way to transport all my tackle up there. But otherwise, I'd never have that much stuff in the boat on a tournament day. So I really like this system. You know, Basket's gone to a similar system. You've already got tool storage. I don't know that you need that, but places to dump stuff, boxes, place to put your dip and die. But one thing I will say that they should change on this is when this slides back, it hits. So I don't know why you wouldn't set that apparatus up where it automatically locks in place. And it looks like this one's a little bit off center. No, it locked. But that would be a real simple fix, to have that a graduated lip where it would make that pop into place, because otherwise you got to reach down and grab it every time to lock it out. And then a ton of space down below. Actually, let me show you this. From the floor of that box to the lip, that box is almost 2 feet deep. That's a lot of stuff. Now, one of the things I did note the other day, sorry I got a little too close to you there, that I struggled with was, and it's an adjustment, so you've got a little day box here, okay? And I like that, but that's really gonna need to be your day box, because to get to something up here, you literally have to lay down to reach something in the bottom of that box. And for River Lee, that's really easy. For Ken Smith, that's quite hard. So it's hard. You're not gonna wanna be getting in and out of there a lot. You're either gonna wanna use your little day box over here. Okay, ouch. Which I wish had a lift hold on it, but I understand most of them don't. And then good place to keep your brain mounted down in there, as well as your fire extinguisher. But that's really going to need to be the box that you work out of. You can work out of this box over here. You know, I love finished boxes. This has nice finished boxes with that sort of I talked about this in another video, that rubber flooring underneath it. Let's see something. So that rod goes to there. So there's another 16 inches of rod butt space when I slide the rod up to there. And that rod is a loose 7 foot even. So you could go to an 8 foot 4 inch rod, but still fit in that box. So that's a big box. The boat comes with Basscat life jackets. And then you got the rod box on the other side, which they can both be used as a rod box. This box is obviously quite a bit longer. If it shows on the website what it is, I'll tell you, but it's big. No tubes in this rod box, which I'm becoming more and more a fan of, and then the sips in the back. I said something to the iKon guys. I really like something to hold my rods in place. So just a little simple strap, or the way Basscat does it with the holes with the rubber band thing over the top of them. But, you know, there are guys who like it this way. There are guys who like it the other way. Oh, look. Jeff left me one of his little fancy Japanese baits in my boat. Haha. I promise you, he didn't mean to leave that. I think that's like $25. Thanks, Jeff. We're calling that gas money. Aluminum lids. Boat really feels solid. We have not had the boat out in rough water yet, which we will before we do the grading of the boat. Oh, this. I had seen this on Yoder's boat at Jones Marine. Okay, so I don't know that you'll ever use that storage unless you're smuggling, but that is really handy to get to anything you might need to get to in or behind the dash. That is neat. So little secret compartment right there, very well set up with a really solid locking mechanism in place as well. I think all that's left to do is go out and try to beat our brains out in it and see how it rides in rough water. It's going to ride great, I can tell you right now, but we'll get that done, and then we'll get the grading of the boat up. I hope this week, but that's all dependent upon weather. I say this week. This is Sunday night. We're going to post this video Wednesday, so hopefully next Sunday night we'll have the testing. You know what, that's going to be hard to do, guys, because I've got a Boy Scout camping trip next weekend. Give me 10 days. In the next 10 days, I'll get the grading of the boat up. We'll get it out on rough water as soon as we get, I'd like to have at least a 15-mile-an-hour wind before I take it out again. And we'll get it out, we'll bounce it around, and we'll come back and give you guys a report on the iKon LX21 and the VLX, I think is the other boat. That'll be coming also in the next few weeks. We've got that lined up to look at. Thanks, guys. We'll see you soon.